Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. My name is Filippo, also known as CF Crypto TA and Crypto Dante on Twitter. We are here today to look at Bitcoin. But before we start, please hit the notification bell, subscribe to the channel to be updated on all my videos and more technical analysis on different markets. So, what happened this week? It's been a completely bloodbath. This was due to the job report, which suggested that 263,000 more jobs were added in the last month, and this suggests to the investor that the Feds will have the foot on the pedal and will push the rate hikes higher. So also we know that actually the market was already in a complete weakness for the last few months, and this was due to obviously the rate hikes and the fact that the Fed might increase the rate hikes even higher has spooked the market and drove the prices down. We can see in the forex market with the euro against the US dollar, the pound against the US dollar, they all been losing quite a bit in the last few days, especially yesterday. Sorry, Friday. But nevertheless, let's have a look at Bitcoin and let's understand where we might heading. Are we hitting the bottom, or we still have some downsides ahead? Okay, so last week, no, actually 12 days ago, I uploaded a video and I was showing you guys that Bitcoin is actually moving in an uptrend, so in an uptrend channel. And you can see here it's been like so for the last 12 years, and this has been a quite a strong trend. We can consider it obviously the primary trend. We can see that we had a few bull markets and a few bear markets. If some of you were here in 2017, they know the pain of the real bear market, and we are in a really strong bear market, and this is mainly driven to the Fed rate hikes. So, but what we can tell from the chart. So, as I said, we are in the channel, and as you can see, we are now hovering just around the lower boundary. So, as a technical analyst, I would expect here a meaningful reaction from the market. So we can expect some kind of bounce over here. We had this little bounce over here, which pushed the prices around 25.5, and then we are now retesting the main support. We also have a main support, as we can see, from the 17,000, 18,000 from the previous bull market. So this was the peak of 2018, and we can see that often these prices act as a support. Now, what we can tell so far, we can tell that in as a secondary trend, so in the intermediate trend, we are now in a downtrend. Is a strong consolidated downtrend, and we can see it here from the series of lower lows and lower highs. Okay, so we have a lower low here, lower high here, lower low, and lower high, and so on. So as a technical analyst, you would, and as a trader, you would never trade against the trend. So you would expect actually the trend to continue. So that's what the statistic shows. However, there are some points which are point of interest, and we can maybe expect a reversal. So this area over here, as we can see, can actually act as a reversal. We can see also that we have two different exponential moving averages. They both act as a stronger resistance for the past year. You can see especially the green, which is the 13 EMA, is acting constantly as a resistance. So we had a rejection over here back in middle August, and then another rejection here in middle September. So we can see that actually we are having continuously stronger rejection, a key resistance. We can also have a look here, and we can see that the prices start to gain momentum. But as we move towards the downtrend trend line, as you can see here, we had a rejection over here. So where are we heading right now? So what is the current picture? So let's have a look first at different areas of interest again. So we have over here the previous strong support, which was violated back in June, which gave us this strong reaction and psychological candles, which brought us down to the 17,000, which was the local bottom. We can see that we have a local bottom. So we can see that also the price is ranging between the boundaries of this candle. So we can also say that the current boundaries of this strong psychological candle are working as resistance and support. Now, we can see that we have the trend line of the downtrend, which is also acting as a resistance, and we have the second trend line, which is made by connecting the two peaks over here. And you can see that this one will be our next strong resistance if we were to clean this resistance over here. Now, let's have a look at lower time frames. Actually, no, sorry. Before to go to lower time frames, let's have a look at the oscillators and indicators. So we can see the volume over here, and from a quick analysis of the volume, this is Bitstamp. Although I don't really like to use Bitstamp because it's not a really well traded exchange compared to others. So the volumes are usually not really reflective of the current market. So we can go actually on Binance just to have a look at the volume, and we can see here that the volume has started to pick up quite a bit, especially back in 20 on the 26th of September. So let's have a look what happened on the 26th of September. So on the 26th of September, let's have a look. Sorry, guys, over here. So is this candle over here, which has created a spinning candle. You can see we have a lower wick and a very strong long upper wick. So we can see that there was some accumulation in this candle, which is also resulted in a lot of selling uh, towards the top of the resistance over here of the trading range. Now let's go and have a look back. So if we basically base our analysis on the volume, we can tell that there is a lot of interest in this area. We can see that the volume are expanding, and especially the buying force is entering, and we have a few supply also volume. This is due to the fact that some traders and especially retail traders, they get upset and they lose the patience around this area in trading ranges. So we see usually in times of accumulation the volume expanding because the in this case the Bitcoin are exchanging hands. So there is an increased interest, and if we were going to see a breakout of this low over here with a strong volume, then we could tell that this one was actually a distribution. So instead of the retailers basically selling their coins, it was mainly the institution which were uh, giving back their coins to the market. Anyway, let's go and have a look at other indicators. So this is the DMI. Okay, it's very interesting indicators. It's the directional movement index, and it tells you whether there is more momentum towards the upside or the downside. And you can tell that this black line is the obviously the negative momentum, so it would be the selling. And we can tell that actually the bears are actually right now on the weekly having the upper hand. However, what we can see that we had a peak over here, and now we are creating a series of lower lows. This is usually a good indication that actually the selling is diminishing is decreasing during this period, and we may expect a rise of the bulls. You can see it over here. Like here, we had a peak, we have a series of lower low. We have actually the positive direction on movement line, which is crossing above the negative, and this one is our buy signal. We can see over here that this one was basically the bottom. You can tell it was around 4,000, and we went all the way up to 12,000. similar back in June 2020. Again, we had here across of the positive DMI DM against the negative, and we can see that the price started to rise and we had a huge bull run. So we can see that now the negative is actually approaching slowly the positive. So the downtrend is losing momentum. Now, if we look at the RSI instead, we can tell that actually the RSI is being suppressed for a while, and we can see that the relative strength. We have a trend line. So usually with also relative strength index and other indicators, sorry, and other indicators, we can actually create a trend line as if it was a chart, and we can see that we had a strong rejection every time we were touching the trend line, and we are actually now approaching and almost passing the trend line. So we can also see that we had a peak, the retest of the low, and we actually had a bounce over the moving average of the relative strength indicator, and we see that we bounce off the um, DMA. So this one currently is called as a swing failure and is a positive reaction of the relative strength index. Now, if we go down to the stochastic RSI, the stochastic RSI is telling us that we might have more momentum to the downside. So we had a rejection of the overbought area. We cross the fast line, cross the slower line, and this one is usually a bearish cross. And we can see that we have two different cross, and it's actually consolidating right now. So it's not really directed towards the downside yet, but it is basically building momentum to the downside. Now, if we go on the daily, so we can have a look better at the current situation. We can see that we have different area of interest even over here. Let me take off this. You can see that we have different resistances, which are the resistance over here. Okay, so this one is the 21.8 as act as a resistance. It might even be better to bring it up to here because it's more current. We can see the more current price. It was here the rejection, the real strong rejection. So we always look at the most recent price action rather than the oldest. Okay, because the psychology, sorry, of the traders and the investor are focusing on the present, so on the most recent data. So we can see that we had a very strong rejection of the downtrend line and also of the resistance over here. Now, what we can tell over here from the candles. So we had here a bearish engulfing, which has obviously pushed the price lower to retest our support over here. Now we have a very strong confluence of different supports. So we have the support, which is this one over here from the peak of 2017. We have the low of the 17, which was from the climax of the selling back in June. And then we can see here that we have a different touching point where the bears tried to push the prices lower, but they couldn't. Okay, we can see here that we had a bullish engulfing. We had here two spinning top with it could be called a tower bottom. So we had a strong black candle, a strong white candle, pushing the prices above the previous strong black candle, followed by the divided by two spinning, which are the basically the tower. Okay, and the two pillars of the towers are over here. Now we can see here that we have a piercing pattern as well, which has pushed the price up to touch the resistance, and now we are hovering around the support. Okay, but we are actually building pressure here because we have also the downtrend resistance. So what it will happen over here, I mean, I can't tell you for sure, But what I would expect here is a volatility entering the market. So we can see also the moving averages, they don't really have any direction. So especially when we are moving in a range, the moving averages doesn't have any utility at all, because it will give you many false signals which are not really useful. Okay, and we can tell over here that as the pressure is building, and we can see different candles over here. We can see that we had a bullish engulfing at support. We have another bullish engulfing and another bullish engulfing over here, which has culminated and climaxed with this push to the trend line, which are we have been actually rejected right now. We can see that we have an hanging man pattern over here, which has pushed the prices lower. Now, where are we heading? We can see that the daily, okay, we can see that the stochastic RSI is now well on its way down to the lower boundary of the of the deviation, so on the oversold area. But we are not there yet, so we can expect still some momentum to the downside. And we can see also the RSI. If we take off over here, we can see that we are creating basically higher lows, okay, which is positive. It means that the momentum is actually building towards the upside. However, we are now at the middle trend line, so this is not really. Let me see. Okay, so we are at the middle trend line, and usually this one is basically what is telling to the technical analyst whether the momentum is up or down. And we are currently obviously hovering below the trend line, sorry, the balance, the equilibrium line. Okay, so the zero line. In this case, it's the 50, but in others, it's zero. It doesn't matter. Anyway, the middle line over here, when the RSI will completely broke above, it means that the strength and the momentum is over to the bull side, and we can expect prices to continue higher. Okay, so when you use the RSI, you can either use the lower boundaries, so like the 20s here and the 80s. I use these two boundaries. Usually the canonic one are the 70 and 30. I use the 80 and 20 because the Bitcoin is much more volatile. Okay, so we would expect the prices to touch the oversold, and when the price break back above the variation area, then that's our signal. And the same is on the middle line. Okay, now looking at the lower time frame, which can give us a more hint of the short-term price action. We can see that now we are pressing against the 13 and the 26 MA, which has usually placed worked as a resistance. So I'm actually right now expecting another push a little bit lower. However, what we can tell is that we created a series of higher lows in the last move, which has created basically the trend line of this local uptrend, because this is a small uptrend. Okay, so obviously there are different trends. There is the primary, secondary, and intraday. So this one is the intraday trend, and we can see that we created higher lows, and until we broke this trend line over here, we would expect again the price to continue higher. Okay, so I'm expecting now the price to actually reject this area over here and possibly start to move lower. And we can see that the 4 hour has now taken off. So we might actually see another push against the more local resistance, which are the 1977 and also the 20. Okay, so these are the two resistance that we are looking at. But I will expect how I would trade personally is that every time we come closer to the trend line or to the resistance, I will look for weakness in the price action, and then I will take the side of the bears, because that's the overall and the major trend, as you can see. And I'm expecting now the price to hover around 19100 before the next bounce, and we will see what will happen next. Thanks for being here, and I hope to see you soon again. Don't forget to share. See you later.